Joining us now is Kachi, who is here to catch all the stories trending around the world. Hello, Kachi.
Hello, Dr. Abati. Good morning.
Good morning, Kachi. How's it going?
Very well, thank you. Hello,
Good.
Ade. So I hope you had a fantastic weekend.
I did. Thank you so much, Kachi. Great to be here again. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, good morning to you viewers. Let's run through some of the stories that are trending across the globe. You must have heard of the phrase, what God cannot do does not exist. Indeed, the popular prayer platform has now ranked as the #1 most live stream program on YouTube. Also, the clash between police officers and civilians continue as 4 individuals have been arrested for fighting with the police. Now, finally, the Barry customary practices still exist. We'd head into Abia State, where a widow was assaulted and filmed over accusations of witchcraft. Now, we are going to begin with a very popular slogan that you may have heard of, what God cannot do does not exist. Now, this is a phrase that's commonly used within a religious parlance and sometimes used as a form of sarcasm by skit makers. While the broadcasts of the new season Prophetic Prayers and Declarations channel, NSPPD, have propelled Pastor Jerry Eze to becoming one of the most watched preachers on YouTube. With more than 90,000 peak concurrent viewers, Eze's daily broadcast has ranked amongst the most streamed globally on YouTube, according to an analytics website called Playboard. Now, this collates information for YouTube channels, and quite honestly, I cannot say that I'm surprised. I mean, I'm sure we can all agree that it's almost impossible to wake up in the morning without a broadcast message telling you, oh, hey, you have to join on, and let's be part of this prayer together. I think this is a big deal, and it also goes to show just how global this once upon a time Instagram live channel has become.
Well, first, let's congratulate Pastor Jerry Eze.
Yeah.
As is known, it was 40 last week, August 22. And, you know, it's amazing what he's been able to do with NSPPD Morning Devotion. And we have had testimonies from D-Bunch, you know, the famous musician, and also to DK, who tune in, you know, to that YouTube channel on a daily basis. And D-Bunch, he was even saying, that in fact he put in 7 prayer points, and all these 7 prayer points have been answered. But more importantly is that, look, Pastor Eze himself says, well, this happened by accident, you know, and he puts in, you know, the time with his wife. That's his wife beside him, Eno. So this couple, they've come up with this YouTube channel of prayers.
Yeah.
Okay? And this was during the COVID period. You recall the emergence of digital churches and, you know, the use of YouTube to preach, to build communities, to take people to church on a daily basis. And that phenomenon has been growing.
It has.
And, you know, we just have this example of how, you know, addictive it could be, how people, you know, can just go onto the digital platform to meet their needs. And what does he do on that channel? He prays for people. You submit your prayer points.
Yeah.
People who have sicknesses, people who have other issues, people who are looking for jobs. In fact, some people go there to pray for husbands and wives. Okay, and you know how that is big business for churches. You know how you will meet your spouse, how you will meet your anointed husband, and all of that. And he's been able to make a huge success of it. He's based in Abuja, we're told,
Yes, he is.
and he now has branches all over the world. But as an individual, his story is also very inspirational. I mean, he started from very humble beginnings. He's quoted as saying his mother was selling groundnuts, but here he is today. He's not only a big pastor, he also has a master's in human resource management and a first degree in history. And people, of course, believe in miracles. So the fact that Nigerians believe in miracles is partly responsible also for our religiosity and faith in the power of prayers.
Okay, so for me, Kachi, it just shows, you know, the strength of social media and the new world order as regards information, which is online. The times have changed. If you wanted to be a pastor that commanded large attention before, you have to build a church, you have to canvass for members, you have to do revivals and crusades. Goodness me, they don't even do revivals any longer. and you have to get a lot of people in and grow the church. But now, by just the touch of the button, the internet is there as a tool. As long as your content is strong and compelling enough, then you start to get a lot of people in. But I'm not surprised. And that's the power of online. And what it has done is it has democratized that level of engagement. You don't need to go through the four walls of media any longer, traditional forms of media, online media, and it has a global appeal. And that's why 90,000 people. But apart from the 19,000 people, also the revenue prospect of creating this content on YouTube. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think his revenue cashing is over $600,000. You know, from just concurrently having 90,000 people every day.
Yeah.
And that's the asset base it gives you. So it just shows you that technology has democratized everything. And this is not going to be the first one. I'm sure if you remember Hallelujah Challenge with Pastor Nathaniel Bass. That was another one on Instagram a couple of years ago. It was a big rave, big sensation.
Yeah.
Traditional media, CNN and the likes reported it. It just shows you the power of that content, the power of the internet, the power of social media. And kudos to, you know, Pastor Jerry is doing a great job praying for a lot of people. But also, it shows you that the internet too can be manipulated. Just imagine if Pastor Jerry Eze wasn't a man of God and he was preaching hatred to 90,000 people concurrently per live stream. Do you know the ripple effect of disaster that will befall society? And that's why we should be careful what we do on this platform. A tweet can ruin somebody's life. And this is a message for all of those out there that use this social media to do evil, to troll people, to bully people, to bring them down. Please take a cue from what Pastor Jerry Eze is doing. He's lifting up 90,000 people every time, anytime he gets a chance in prayers. But some other people too, with hundreds of thousands of followers, are ruining millions of lives and killing people every day. This is a seminar material where we talk about the resurgence of social media, and Pastor Jerry is leading to it. Congrats to his ministry, and I pray it continues to bless lives. And like they say, his oil will never run dry.
Amen. Well, I've lost count of how many fake accounts of Pastor Jerry Eze I've now seen on social media platforms. And for me, I think it's the yes, and I think it's important to even look at it to say COVID-19 pandemic was not all doom and gloom with the likes of Pastor Jerry Eze and his wife, starting this. There was void, there was despondency, people needed to reach out to people. They just needed that hope reinforced, especially with the lockdowns and social distancing in place. Pastor Jerry Eze came and a void was filled, and he continues to fill that. So congratulations to him.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look at the next story. 4 Nigerians have been arrested for fighting with some police officers. This happened in Lagos on Saturday, August 27th. Well, the state police spokesperson, Benjamin Hundeyin, shared a video of 4 Nigerians and some police officers fighting and rough handling themselves. Now, he said the 4 Nigerians in the video are currently at the station while the officers are also being questioned, adding that investigations are being launched and that anyone found culpable will be made to face the law. Now, this is also tangent to the story that was shared recently in Delta State, where the DSP spoke about the young medical doctor who gave police officers 50,000 naira so they would let him go. And I'm looking at both sides of the divide. Last week, we spoke about a young man harassing a police officer. So basically, it's almost as if we have a case of a battle between the politically correct and the morally correct, where some people would say, listen, don't give any money, don't do it, don't ever succumb to bribe, do not allow yourself be intimidated. And then others will now ask you, is it really worth fighting for? What if they harm you? What if you go away scarred from the event? Isn't it better to just live to fight another day? So it goes beyond just the tweets and the asking or the saying that some people have been arrested. I think this is a big issue. Just Saturday, I experienced it myself, where I was asked for 250,000 naira. So it goes beyond just arrest. And I think there's so many people that just don't want to have to deal with the stress that comes with refusing these people. I'm sure this definitely had to do with one of those. But eventually, I'm sure we'll get to know the true story behind this squabble, intense squabble, I must say, between these young men and the police officers in this video.
Well, whatever may have been the provocation, I thought I saw this story. And the issue there was that one of the gentlemen in the video said his girlfriend was insulted by the policeman. Or, well, as you imagine, you are saying that it could be a case of extortion. But whatever may be the provocation, engaging in physical combat with a man who is wielding a gun looks like an attempt at suicide, given the reputation of Nigerian policemen for being trigger happy. Last week, the story we treated on this program showed another man, a motorist, trying to arrest a policeman who was wielding a gun. And we praise the man for his patience, for remaining very calm in the face of what looks like provocation. Now, engaging, a uniformed officer, whatever that officer may have done, I don't think it looks right. But it's just as well that, nobody was trigger happy in that instance, because I saw the colleague of the policeman who was engaged in physical combat, being, having a gun. What if he decided to shoot people down? We will have been here talking about police brutality and how the police have not learned any lessons. So just as we have difficult policemen who do not behave well, we also have citizens also who do not, respect any uniformed person. One does not justify the other. Imagine anyone trying this in the United States or in the UK, beating up police officers. You may say that policemen, people don't trust them, they've lost respect, but I wouldn't recommend anybody fighting a man who is wielding a gun. Well, we're told by Benjamin Hundeyin that, the policemen involved in this video are being interrogated. The civilians involved with them are also being interrogated. We hope that the matter will be resolved in a fair manner and that the details will be made clear to the public. Now that SP Hundeyin has gone on to Twitter and this has become a matter of public interest, we hope that for other people's education, we'll be, we'll be given the opportunity to know the full details. But in doing this, they must be fair to all parties concerned.
So I've had my own ordeal with the police, and I think the problem is the training, the way police officers are trained in this country. Many years ago, a TV station ran a documentary on the police training college, the deplorable state of the police training college. There is no how a police officer that comes out of that police training college in Ikeja and some other parts of the country would treat civilians in a civil way. And it's also the mindset. We need to build a police force that understands that it is providing a service to the citizenry. I'm not going to exonerate people. There are some people too that do very terrible. You have no right to go out there and fight. Even if the police officer is not with a gun, with a baton, you have no right to fight. You have no right to fight anybody in public like that. But also the manner of approach of police officers leave very much to be desired. And that has always been the problem in this country. So what would be the solution? The long-term solution is not just increasing police salary, which we know that is deplorably low, and no matter how much you increase it, will not be able to meet inflation. It's also the way you train police officers. We need to rejig the training architecture of police officers. We need to make them more service-oriented, because you see, the Nigerian police force that is in this shape is the function of training. The way you train people will be the way they'll turn out. There's also social conditioning based on the societal activities, but the way you train them will be largely the way they'll turn out. Why is it that when you travel between Nigeria to the UK just 6 hours after, the way the police behave is different from the way the police behave here? It's about training. We need to train them. We need to equip them. We need to invest more in police officers. Those were the those were the things the NSAS protesters were talking about. And that's why you are seeing this show of shape. But it's obvious. Nothing since NSAS has been done to improve the training of police officers, even mental assessment of police officers, because it takes a lot, seeing the kind of evil these police officers see every day, and they need help. Psychosocial assessment, psychological assessment of the police officers, and also the citizenry. In fact, there was a report that says most Nigerians have got mental triggers. Most of them have got mental health issues, millions of Nigerians and the likes. And this is not to say we support citizens fighting the police, but the way our police is structured has always been the problem. If we get that right, then we can start to see measurable change. I'm not going to say, oh, it's totally going to end, but if we get that right, then change will happen. And speaking of America, why is it that even the American police force, most of the killings are for black people? It's a function of the training. It's a function of the training and how they see race. Hardly do you hear that a police officer in America kills a white person in the street. Most of the time, it's always black people. So it's a function of the training, and that's why you see in America they're having racial training, racial awareness training, and things like that in society. We should do more for our Nigeria police force.
Yeah, we should. So just before we join the conversation, because we're really about to run out of time, let's quickly take a look at the last and final story on what's trending today. A video of a widow being tied and flogged by members of her community in Imuegu, Mpabende, local government, Abia State, has been shared online, and this has gone viral. This was shared by the activist Harrison Gwamishu, who shared the video saying that the widow was assaulted after her late husband's brother's wife accused her of being a witch. Now, from the post, it was gathered that the widow goes by the name Mrs. Amarachi Okechi, and her insistence on her innocence fell on deaf ears. Her hands were tied to her back, her legs were tied, and she was flogged with the entire process filmed. And this is incredibly humiliating. I don't think anyone should have to deal with this, and we cannot stop talking about the insistence of the government authorities to get involved with some of these barbaric customary practices. I mean, it's horrible, for lack of a better word at this point in time.
It's inhumane, it's barbaric, and you've said it all, catchy. Yes, and I think that the perpetrators of that evil act, they are the evil ones, you know, tying her backs, tying her hands up, tying her legs up and beating her. They are the evil ones here. I think they are the ones practicing even the witchcraft. And you know, losing a partner is never easy for anyone, but when it is a woman who loses a partner, especially in this part of the world, it comes with unimaginable evil practices. And that's why we have to keep, you know, the awareness. Men have to keep an estate for their loved ones. They have to keep something, a testament for their loved ones, no matter how little. Nobody prays to die, but at some point, death will come calling. What have you put in place for that woman, for your children? How are they going to be treated? You understand how the society works. Are you prepared ahead of that? Women at the moment are still invisible. They're tied to their partners, and they don't even exist. So government, the authorities, the religious groups, churches, mosques, have to start preaching those messages that, yes, nobody prays to die, but death comes. And then what happens to the people you leave behind? If this woman was opportune, if she was well prepared, I don't think people will be doing this to her. They do this to her because they see her as weak, as somebody nobody's going to defend. And very quickly to the police story. On Friday, I didn't think that was a yellow bus driver who was fighting with a policeman. My shock to see that it was a private citizen. Again, we must commend the restraint of the police officers. We don't have the full stories yet. You know, but I think it's also the years of decadence and the relationship between the uniformed men and the civil society and the civilian. We need to build that trust again. We need to build that trust, and we need to do better as a society.
You cannot be more correct, Adesua. And of course, you know, in that video, two things there. Widowhood. Widows are very badly treated in this country, either at the community level or at group level. Somebody just wakes up and says, oh, she's a witch, and the entire community rises against her. I hope that somebody will take a look at that video, maybe the state government, and identify those persons engaged in that barbaric act of subjecting you know, the woman to that kind of humiliation. The second thing, of course, is that, yes, witchcraft is a felony in Nigeria. It's an offense under Section 210 of the Criminal Code and Section 216 of the Penal Code. But it's not for an individual, for anybody to just go about as they used to do in 17th century England and in America during the Salem trials, the witchcraft, the witch hunt, to just say this is a witch, and then you start dehumanizing people. But thank you very much, Kachi.
Thank you for having me. That's
strange things happen, don't they?